Welcome to Marauders Weekly on NBC North Dakota Sports. Marauders Weekly is your exclusive home to University of Mary Marauder athletics all season long. Football, basketball, volleyball, and more. You'll see it right here on Marauders Weekly.
Yesterday, this Marauder fan was loving it. I can't say the same for me, though. It's very cold. Welcome to Marauders Weekly, everyone. Here to talk to me today about the season finale of the football season is head coach Josh Kotelnicki and senior wide receiver LB Pope. So welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. So before we get into LB Pope's career record-setting day yesterday, first let's talk about before the game. Going into this one, both the Marauders and St. Cloud sitting at 5-5, both teams trying to finish with a winning record. So, Coach, St. Cloud had one of the worst pass defenses in the Northern Sun. How did you plan to exploit that in this game, as your passing game for the Marauders has been pretty strong as of late?
Well, what we're really trying to do is avoid a situation we were in 2 weeks ago when we had to throw 59 times. 2 weeks ago, that was the plan by design, and I think yesterday it happened more out of what we were forced to do. We wanted to try to be more balanced offensively, and the situation, the score of the game dictated that we couldn't. So we ended up going back to the same thing we did a couple weeks ago.
Well, going back to that kind of helped you out a little bit, LB. After catching 10 passes for 183 yards in Duluth, you moved into second all-time for Marauders receiving yards and reception. So you had the opportunity to break both of those records yesterday. Was that on your mind at all going into the game?
Going into the game, it kind of was, but then as the game started, I didn't really think about it. I was more so on the field, more so trying to get at scores just so to win the game.
All right, well, let's take a look at the first half highlights and all that passing action. In the first Husky possession, the second play from scrimmage, play action, Nate Meyer heaves it up to Joe Mooney, diving catch into the end zone, a 43-yard touchdown, and St. Cloud jumps out to an early 7-0 lead. Now, Coach, you said you were really focusing on stopping the run in this game, so did this come as a little bit surprise that they went long that early?
I don't know if I'd say a surprise. You know, obviously we're in a situation where it's one-on-one and we got beat, so I don't think the coaching staff was surprised, no.
All right, well, the next U-Mary drive, 3rd and 7, and Zach Roberson gets it over to Vince Ferrante. He goes to run, looks like he's down, but pops up and goes 13 yards for the first down, but the Marauders would be forced to punt on that possession. Huskies march down the field, but Meyer having a little trouble with that handoff, and Landon Smith jumps on it for the fumble recovery. But the Marauders still wouldn't get anything out of that drive. 2nd and 1 on the Huskies' next possession. Jaden Huff takes it 13 yards to get St. Cloud just outside of the red zone. And then on 1st and goal, it's Huff once again from 1 yard out. He gives the Huskies a 2-touchdown lead. The score now 14-0 with 4 minutes still in the first quarter. And on the kickoff, Mary gets a penalty back to their own 9. Snap goes high, and it's a safety. Coach, how did this change the momentum of the game? Now it's 16-0.
Well, it certainly affected the game. Momentum-wise, we already had our backs against the wall a little bit anyways. But, yeah, it was disappointing. You know, we haven't had a problem with that all year, and we had a problem with that yesterday.
Well, the Marauders defense trying to step up big. That was Troy Guptill bringing down Meyer. 3rd and 5 with 1:25 left in the first quarter. Roberson looking for LB Pope, nearly picked off by Keyshawn Davis. Now, LB, Zach underthrew that one a little bit, but Davis had been covering you pretty tight in that first quarter. What adjustments did you have to make throughout the rest of the game to get better looks?
I just had to go faster and step on his toes a little bit, get closer to him before I made my break, so get him off his toes a little bit.
All right, well, second quarter, it is 16-0 St. Cloud. They tack on 3 more with that Eric Melke 25-yard field goal. The Marauders determined not to get shut out in the first half. Roberson and Myron Baldos McGarn for 22 yards. A little bit of a scare there. The ball is stripped, fumble, but luckily Adam Warnetsky is there to recover it. And on the next play, it's Warnetsky again. He'll get the handoff and go 14 yards to the 3-yard line, but the Marauders can't get into the end zone on that drive. So Brody Riggs sets up for a 27-yard field goal. It's good, so 19-3 with just under 6 minutes to go in the first half. St. Cloud's strong run game, we talked about it. Here it is on display. Dante Starlin Merriam finds a couple holes and bursts through for a 53-yard gain. Preston Tesher and Lucas Cater is able to bring him down on 2nd and 7, though. It's Starlin Merriam again. This time Landon Smith is able to get him down there. Only a 2-yard gain, so 3rd and 5 and they go to him for a third time. He gets through a 12-yard touchdown run. It makes it 26-3 St. Cloud. So 4 minutes left in the half. The Marauders have to get something going from their own 21. Roberson to Jake East, who fights his way to a 22-yard pickup. Just before midfield on the very next play, Roberson fires again, and this time it's to LB Pope for 25 yards down at the Husky 32. And now, LB, you guys, as I said, knew you had to get something going here. Obviously, it was a lot of firing downfield on this drive. What was this play here?
It's just a simple smash concept. It's just a corner and a hitch, you know. So I knew exactly what I had to run, and like I told you earlier, how I get the DB off his feet a little bit. So.
Well, St. Cloud's holds the Marauders to 4th and 10. They go for it, and they get it. That's Roberson to East, 25 yards to the Husky 7-yard line. And once again, St. Cloud gets the Marauders to 4th down, but they get it into Vashon Pope in the end zone. The 3-yard touchdown makes it 26-10. The Huskies still have. Coach, in the first half, one of the things that you guys struggled with was 3rd down conversions, 4 of 11. And only 9 first downs to the Huskies 14. How did that have to change in the second half? What did you guys have to do?
Well, I think we just needed to start catching the ball. You know, we had a couple key drops on 3rd down. I know the first 2 drives in particular, and you know, that makes a significant difference in the game, obviously. So that was what you see will happen in the second half. We started catching the ball on 3rd down.
Well, speaking of drop passes, some of these kids might not be used to playing in the snow. You guys have had pretty good weather so far for the games. LB, was that affecting you guys at all, the receivers and even anyone on the field in the first half, getting used to that?
I think right away it did. You know, you had to get used to it right away, get your hands warmed up. Once you get your hand warmed up, you know, of course I dropped a couple passes the first half, but then after, once we get everything warmed up, everything was fine.
Well, Coach, 3 penalties for 19 yards in the first half. One of the things that you guys have done really well this year is not have a lot of penalties. Even though 3 isn't too many, how did that affect you guys in the first half, especially that one before the safety?
Well, obviously had a major impact. If we would have had a holding penalty on that, you know, at least if we snapped that ball over the guy's head, we might have had a chance to fall on it and have 2nd down on our own 5 or something like that. So, yeah, those things matter. We had a procedure problem in the first half as well with not having enough people on the line of scrimmage, and that backed us up. We ended up scoring on that drive, but it still could have had a major impact. So I think we were a little bit out of our game in the first half. I don't know why. I thought we had a good week of practice. I thought we were focused, but maybe we had guys trying to do too much, I think, maybe in the first half. Everybody's conscious of the fact that it's my last game and I have to play my best, or I want to play my best, and maybe we're just trying to reach a little bit and do too much. I don't know.
Well, we will see how you guys got that together in the second half when we come back. The Marauders' second half highlights against St. Cloud. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Marauders Weekly, everybody. Our last week of football analysis this year. So joining me today, if you missed it earlier, is head coach Josh Kotelnicki and senior wide receiver LB Pope. We have a lot to talk about after the game, with a lot of records being set in this one. So let's jump right into the second half highlights. Now, the Marauders started the second half with an onside kick, which they recovered. They drive all the way to the 8-yard line, and Zach Roberson takes it, dives into the pylon. That should be a touchdown, right? But he calls him down at the half-yard line. So the Marauders are going to have to go for it once again. And this time, Roberson with the QB sneak breaks the plane and puts the Marauders on the board. So it's 34-16. Marauders' 2-point attempt fails. On the next drive, Maceo Brown comes out with a huge stop. That would be a loss of 5. And the Huskies were able to convert the 3rd and 11, though, so they get in the red zone, and Huff goes 18 yards to the house. Coach, St. Cloud has a similar running back system to you guys, where they have a few different guys carrying the ball. What was the problem with the defense just being able to stop their run? Obviously, they have pretty powerful running backs.
Well, they're a big physical team up front, and you know, the whole offense for them starts at the run game. We're more than conscious of the fact we're going to have to stop the run game. We weren't able to do it. I would say I don't think we did it the entire day, to be candid.
Well, it's 41-16 with 6:39 left in the third quarter. UMary getting something going. Roberson to Joey Vrooman for a 32-yard gain. And then 3rd and goal, Roberson goes to LB Pope, who fights his way in with a man hanging on to him for the touchdown. LB, obviously a lot of fire in you in that play. Take me through that one.
You know, we called a great play. And I caught the ball and I got hit right away, you know, and I didn't go down, and I was trying to fight my way to get the touchdown. And I've done that a couple times to try to put the ball across the plane, and I knew I could do it again.
Well, he certainly did. That touchdown makes it 41-23. Marauders defense looking to get a stop now, and who else to do it but Troy Guptill. He takes down Meyer on 3rd and 5 to give the Marauders the ball back with 1:52 left in the third quarter. So they start on their own 33. Roberson to Pope for a 19-yard pickup, and LB once again fighting his way for more yards. He's down at the 48. Marauders trying to get downfield quickly. Roberson fires to Baldos McGarn. 13 yards and a first down. They get to the 15. False start sends it back to the 20. And Roberson finds Baldos McGarn again for the 20-yard touchdown just as time expires in the third quarter. So going into the fourth, it's 41-30. St. Cloud trying to keep its lead, though. 1st and goal. Meyer takes it in himself from 9 yards out. The Huskies take a 48-30 lead on that one. The first play of the Marauders. Next possession, though, Roberson to Pope breaks the tackle and goes 65 yards for the quick score. That took all of about 17 seconds. So, LB, you guys executed that play perfectly. What exactly was that one?
It was the same exact thing as was the other one. It was a simple smash concept, except for the outside guy had a whip route. But other than that, it was, the corner did the same. The corner did the same exact thing that he did last time. He helped me out. So.
Yeah, well, if it works, keep going with it, right? The PAT is blocked, so the score stays 48-36. Now it's just a back and forth game of scoring. Next Husky possession, Meyer finds Matt Henches from 13 yards out, 55-36. 7.5 minutes left in the game. Darius Gravely back to receive the kickoff. He uses his speed to go downfield for a 40-yard return. A huge break for the Marauders. They start in a great spot at their own 46. They get over midfield, and Roberson and Pope, they're just having a game of catch out there. 31-yard gain gets the Marauders inside the St. Cloud 10-yard line. 1st and goal, and they are going to set up Roberson once again, dropping back. This time he hits Jake East coming across the middle. They get the 2-point conversion this time to make it 55-44. UMary attempts another onside kick. Maceo Brown almost has it, but this time St. Cloud is able to recover it. The defense needs to get a stop, and Ethan Bakken stuffs Huff for a loss of 2. On the next play, Troy Guptill is able to chase down Meyer here and bring him down again, but he still manages to pick up 5 yards. Time runs out on the Marauders in this one. The final score, 55-44 in St. Cloud. But again, as I said earlier, a career day for many Marauders. Roberson, 40 for 64, 505 yards and 5 touchdowns. There was over 1,000 yards total offense between the two teams. So some game notes. Zach Roberson set the single game record for attempts with 64, completions with 40, and passing yards with 505. He's the first UMary player to throw for 500 yards, and with those 505 yards, he threw for over 400 in each game since returning from his wrist injury. Troy Guptill, who had a sack in the game, is now tied with John Oilo for career sacks at 27.5, and he remains the UMary career tackles for loss leader at 51. On defense, 3 Marauders had double-digit tackles yesterday: Preston Tesher, Lucas Caters, and Austin Bolton. But despite being injured in the Moorhead game, Grant Singer still led the team in tackles this year with 96. And then here we go, LB Pope in this game with his 199 yards receiving. He became the career leader in reception yards, 2,781. He also had 11 catches, which makes him the career leader in receptions at 193. He finishes the season first in the Northern Sun in receiving yards per game, all-purpose yards per game, and punt return average. So, LB, congratulations to you. Very impressive stuff there. No one necessarily goes into their college career thinking, I'm going to set all these records or anything like that. But what does this mean to you to know that you're at the top of 2 of the Marauders' all-time lists now?
It means a lot, but, it wasn't just me. It was a lot of guys that go into that, the coaches, the coaching, just the players on the field, the O-line, the quarterback, the other receivers, the defense even. So I'm very grateful to have the people around me that I do. You
got to play with a couple of great quarterbacks during your time at UMary. How did they kind of help you with your game?
Just showing me what I needed to do, what I messed up on, and what I needed to correct. Just take that into consideration and then work on it and get everything fixed.
Well, now your younger brother Vashon also a receiver. So is there any competition there, any trash talking that he's going to try and beat some of your records?
He already did. He had my freshman year. I had like 148 yards receiving, and he told me he beat that already this year. So he's trying to get.
Yes, he did. He has 155 yards.
Yep,
So
yep.
good job, Vashon. Well, we will have more with LB Pope later this week on NBC North Dakota Sports in our Sports Spotlight. So LB, thank you so much for joining us today. And don't go anywhere. Coach Kotelnicki is sticking around to talk a little bit about a season recap. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Marauders Weekly. Well, with the Marauders' loss yesterday at St. Cloud, the football team finishes the season with a 5-6 record overall. Let's see where that put them in regards to the entire Northern Sun standings. This is the way the Northern Sun shaped up this year. Minnesota State, Mankato, Minnesota Duluth, both finishing undefeated. UMary tied for 8th at 5-6, 3-4 in the North, 4th in the division, and as I said, tied for 8th overall. So, Coach, a tough end to the season with 3 straight losses, but looking at some of the positives of it, the offense was able to put up a lot of points in those games. So you finished the regular season with one of the top passing offenses in the Northern Sun, but you lose basically your top 4 receivers. So what's kind of the mindset of the offense moving forward, losing LB, Nick Jolliffe, Jake East, and Myron Baldos-McGarn?
Well, I can't speak to that yet. I mean, it's 24 hours since the game. But I know when I got here, the first question I got and the question I got for 5 months is, how are you going to replace Craig Bagnell? And I think Zach Robeson's done a fantastic job with that. So we have some players in our program right now. I hope we'll step up and assume the roles that those guys had. Not just a receiver, but offensive line. We lose 3 seniors. 4 seniors, actually, 3 starters. Running back, we lose 2 running backs for sure. So we have a number of slots to fill on offense, so it's going to be a competitive spring and a competitive offseason.
Finishing the season on the other side of the ball, defense with the worst red zone defense in the Northern Sun. What do you guys have to do in the offseason? What do you have to work on to make sure that doesn't happen next season?
Well, we definitely need to improve on defense. I think the last month of the season, injuries to me are not an excuse. St. Cloud State was playing with 7 freshmen yesterday on defense, so and they had injury problems too. So the fact that maybe Grant Singer got hurt, or another starter wasn't able to play, or people were missing early in the season with injuries, that to me has 0 bearing on our success on defense. Red zone defense to me is not one of the statistics that's that important to me. If you have a good defense, you're probably going to be good in the red zone. If you have a bad defense, you're probably going to be bad in the red zone. So sometimes field goal block and stuff like that ties into that too. But we need to get bigger, stronger, faster up front on defense through recruiting, and also more importantly through the players we have in our program right now. So we have a lot of players back on defense next year. I was more concerned about the defense than the offense going into this season. And you get certain people hurt, and that's what we had. So, but I like the attitude of our kids. I like what our coaching staff has done. So we just need to continue to develop the players we have and go out and find more.
And speaking of the players that you do have on defense, I think we've talked about this throughout the season, but the secondary, a lot of young guys who have grown a lot throughout the year. What do you see as the future for them?
Well, it'll be nice to have some consistency back there. And, I give the secondary, particularly the corners, credit. I mean, between the 4 corners that rotated, as rotated in consistently throughout the season. At one point, all 4 were injured and missed games because of injury. Daniel Whitaker had a torn ACL. He played on the entire season. Maceo Brown and Maceo had shoulder problems. Jacob Parker had shoulder problems. Devin Turner had a concussion. So some of that comes, I think, with youth. Hopefully our strength conditioning program can develop, physically develop those guys a little more to get them through a season a little better next year. But we have to play better at all positions on defense, as far as I'm concerned, next season. What
are your biggest takeaways from this year, your first year as head coach for the Marauders?
Well, really, I had a great time, and I told the kids that yesterday in the locker room, and for me it was a great senior class. I really wish we could have won more games for them. Didn't pan out that way, but there's a lot of things in our program that I'm very happy about. Our community service hours are way up. Our season attendance is up by 1,200. Our season ticket holders are up. Our fundraising dollars are way up. So Those are some of the things that I look at as far as how you gauge a program, and then obviously our wins are downward from last season. So, but I like the future here, you know, with the 2030 stuff going on with the university. There's a lot of positives. So I had a lot of fun. I hope our seniors had fun too. But you know, next year it's we've got to take the next step as a program, and some of that has to be in the wins column.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Coach, for joining me today and for joining me every week during the football season. Appreciate it. Well, coming up, Grant Singer, he was one of the most decorated linebackers in Marauders history. His senior year ended prematurely with a serious knee injury, but Singer still has a very positive outlook. Here's a little more about him in this week's Meet a Marauder.
Probably steak. I don't know, I just grew up on the farm, eating steak all the time. Mom made it, probably just growing up the farm with the cows and everything, so I'd have to say steak. As a group, I like Toby Mac and Red. I don't know, they're kind of slow rock a little bit. They're both Christian bands, but that's what I listen to before football games, so I enjoy their music. The Dark Knight, I'd have to say, or any of the Batman series, I enjoy them. Started in junior high. I guess I played it because my brothers played it. So 7th grade year is the first year I got to put the pads on and watch my brothers do it, so it looked like something fun to do. Best memory as a Marauder, oh man, there's a lot of them, but I would probably have to go with this year against Minot. That last play at the end, that's probably one of my best memories. Probably go back to the farm and just see how I like it on the ranch there, and maybe coach high school back there.
Don't go anywhere after the break. The Marauders men's and women's basketball teams kicked off their seasons this past week. We have scores and some team news coming up. Welcome back to Marauders Weekly, everybody. It's cold, winter's here, and that means it's basketball season. The Marauders men's and women's team both tipped off their seasons this week with away trips. On the women's side, they were in San Bernardino, California for the Tip-Off Classic. The Marauders unfortunately dropped both games, falling to Cal State San Bernardino 72-58. And Cal San Diego 89-84, but that second game had to go into overtime. Some highlights there. Brittany Dietz finished with 35 points. Very impressive. And Sloan Turner had a double-double, 11 points and 12 rebounds. Their next game is Wednesday the 19th at Valley City. Also, this week was the first week that they could sign high school players. So Gabby Bull from Minot, Bishop Ryan, she signed with the Marauders. She is a 6'2" forward. Isabel Schmelzer, another 6'2" forward from Baraboo, Wisconsin, signed. Mia Wilkinson, a 6-foot forward from Shiloh Christian in Bismarck. So the Marauders definitely got some height coming in next year. And Mia is the younger sister of current Marauders guard Gabby Wilkinson. Also Maria Zimders, another 6'2" post player from Bloomfield, Montana. On the men's side, they opened with a win over the South Dakota School of Mines, 61-49. 4 Marauders scored in double digits, and they were led by DeMonta Henry with 13. The Marauders return home Monday the 17th to host Dickinson State at the MAC. And they also had a signing this week, Carter Burns, a 6'7" forward from Iowa. In soccer, some postseason honors rolling in for the men's team. Junior Johnny Sellers named second team all-conference as one of the top defenders in the Great Northwest. Senior Aaron McElwee, junior Adam Potter, and freshman Kristen Guerra all earned honorable mention nods. Well, there's one fall sport that's still going. Cross country has the NCAA Central Region Championships in Wayne, Nebraska, coming up this Saturday, November 22nd. The women recently moved up in the polls. They are now ranked 22nd in the country. So good luck to the Marauders coming up this weekend. Next week, we'll have those results, also some basketball scores for you, and we're going to have a look at the some superlatives for the football team with the captain, so that should be fun. Thank you so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for watching Marauders Weekly. Join us next Sunday as we